Ultra-processed foods, or UPFs, have captured the headlines for recent insights into the negative impacts their consumption has on both your health and the wider world. But what does ultra-processed food mean? What exactly are they? And what can you do to avoid them? This is Decomplicated. What does ultra-processed food mean? Ultra-processed foods are a common sight on today's shelves, defining any food products made with industrial ingredients and additives that aren't normally found in your kitchen. They're often high in calories, fat, sugar, and salt, whilst being low in nutrients and fibre. Designed to be convenient, cheap, and appealing, new research into UPFs is bringing to light just how harmful they can be to your health. Some of the negative consequences they pose to your health include increasing your risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, diet deficiencies, high blood pressure, cancers, and other chronic conditions. The usual definition of UPFs is based upon the NOVA classification system that categorises food and drink into 4 categories: unprocessed or minimally processed foods, processed ingredients, processed foods, and ultra-processed foods. Examples of UPFs include confectionaries, fried snacks, processed meats, and cakes and biscuits. Notably, meat and plant alternatives are also, on average, not as healthy as one would think. Even sauces, dressings, dips, and spreads fall under the banner of ultra-processed foods, containing thickeners and artificial flavours that lead them to be extremely high in salt and fat. Are all processed foods bad for you? No, not all processed foods are bad for you. Some processed foods are necessary or beneficial to your health, such as pasteurised milk, wholemeal bread, and low-fat yogurt. These foods undergo minimal processing to make them safe, suitable, or nutritious. But some, like sausages, have been linked to an increased risk of cancer. Many countries have already created new dietary guidelines that advise against consuming ultra-processed foods. Studies of UPFs have been observational, meaning that they can't definitely conclude cause and effect, but research highlights that consumption of these foods offers no beneficial outcomes, and instead create varying incidences of adverse health outcomes. What are the impacts of ultra-processed foods? Ultra-processed food also has a significant impact on society, especially on the environment and the economy. A large study following more than 100,000 French adults over 5 years showed that eating more ultra-processed foods was linked with a greater risk of heart disease. A similar analysis of the same participants found that a 10% increase in ultra-processed food consumption was linked with a significant increased risk of cancer as well. Treating these issues weighs heavily on public health bodies, such as the NHS. They're also detrimental to the environment. For example, one study found that ultra-processed foods are responsible for up to 1/3 of total diet-related greenhouse gas emissions, land use, and food waste. What can you do? To reduce the impact of ultra-processed food on society, we need to take collective action at different levels. We can choose to eat less ultra-processed foods and more fresh, whole, or minimally processed foods, such as fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, beans, eggs, fish, and unprocessed meat. We can also cook our own meals from scratch, using natural ingredients and spices. On a community level, we can support local and organic farmers, producers, and retailers who offer healthy and sustainable food options. Finally, advocate for policies and regulations that limit the production, distribution, and marketing of ultra-processed foods, promoting the availability and affordability of healthy and nutritious foods. With their widespread availability and convenience, ultra-processed foods will be part of our diets. It's about trying to find the balance of making consumption occasional rather than consistent,